and happy new financial year and welcome. I'm Matthew from Rosie and Rosie, Adelaide investment property specialist, helping you invest in property with confidence. We're halfway through 2024 and it's been a while since I last sat down in front of the camera to share my thoughts, so thank you for joining me, and let's get into a quick update on the local property market. Let's start with cash rate, or the cash rate. The Reserve Bank held rates again this month. The current cash rate is 4.35%, which has been unchanged since November last year when it last went up. Notably, the RBA meets less often now, 7 times per year, down from 11, which means there will be less frequent opportunities for the cash rate to change, but potentially larger increases or decreases when they do. Now, the cash rate has a direct impact on the cost of borrowing money in the form of our interest rates. It's hard to find a lender offering an interest rate under 6% at the moment. Most lenders are advertising a standard variable rate between 7 and 8%, which on average ends up being around 6.5%. But yeah, obviously if you're looking to borrow or refinance, then speak to a mortgage broker or reach out if you want an introduction to one. And also ask questions of your mortgage broker, make sure you understand everything. A low interest rate sometimes may come at the cost of valuable facilities like offset accounts, or you may need to have a certain loan to value ratio in order to qualify for a particular interest rate. So just do your due diligence when speaking to your mortgage broker. With the cash rate and the variable interest rates more or less steady for the time being, we move on to, the property market side of things, starting with the auction volumes, which is basically the number of properties that are going to market or being sold by auction as opposed to by private treaty or best offers buy, that sort of thing. Now, auction volumes are up about 50% on last year, and auction clearance rates remain at around 80%, which suggests that those auction campaigns are successful for a lot of people. Anything around the 80% mark would suggest it's a seller's market or a hot market. Noting that not all properties or locations do take properties to auction, and certainly there are fewer than through the COVID years where a lot of properties in a lot of suburbs were going to auction. Still suggests a very healthy market overall. And this is very high level analysis, aggregate sort of high level data. It's important when you're doing your due diligence to look down at the micro level as well, which I'll talk about shortly. The reason for, some of the success of auctions can be taken from the fact that there are fewer properties on the market. They are well down on historic levels, and I know we are in winter, which is generally sees a seasonal dip in home sales and prices, but overall they are down on the average, which suggests less supply, and of course with more or the same number of people wanting to buy properties is going to put a lot of pressure on prices. Days on market also complements or suggests the same. Days on market being the number of days it takes from a property being first advertised to being sold. So when days on market is falling, it would suggest again that we are in a hot market, or the property that you're looking at, if the suburb has a low average days on market, then there's a good chance it's a high demand suburb. Vacancy rates is another metric that we have a look at. Vacancy rates have been low, extremely low in Adelaide for a very long time. The average at the moment, I think it sits between 1 and 1.5%, and there are certainly parts of Adelaide where it's under 1%. Now, that doesn't mean much, so putting it into context, anything under 3% would suggest a tight rental market. So 3% is a balanced, or 2.5 to 3% is a balanced market. 1% suggests it's tight. Anything under that, extremely tight. Generally only overpriced properties or those in poor condition sticking around for longer than the average 7 to 10 days. So yeah, very hard for people who are looking to rent at the moment or looking to move. Average rents for a 3-bedroom home, $630 per week, and for a 2-bedroom unit, $355 per week, which has increased a lot over the last couple of years, but still in the last few months has softened or just it's stabilised. Still very expensive for those who are renting. As a result of all of the above, Adelaide properties have enjoyed an increase of about 14.96% on average in the 12 months up to June 2024, leaving us with a median house value of $810,000. So if you bought a home worth about $650,000 12 months ago, you're probably about $95,000 better off with a value now at about $745,000. Great if you're an existing homeowner or landlord, but not so great if you are trying to get into the property market. As a result of some of these things, the state government has put a few incentives on the table and made a few reforms around renting, which I'll cover shortly. But first, I just want to touch on tax cuts. Most families will be better off under the new tax cuts that started on the 1st of July. I think the average household will be about $250 a month better off, which if put towards, say, a mortgage, could help to reduce their repayments and interest over the long term. Or if they're looking to borrow money, it could help with their serviceability and therefore their borrowing capacity may improve. So yeah, expect that people will use that money for those sorts of things, but the fear is that some will put that into more discretionary items, and which will likely have an inflationary effect on the economy. The inflation rate is above the RBA's target rate already, so they are watching, I guess, the flow on of this, and we may see that if that inflation number sticks or increases further, that we may have another increase of the cash rate. So yeah, I guess the message is to use that extra $250 a month wisely. I mean, it's mainly there for the cost of living, so putting towards bills rather than holidays. On a state government level, we have recently had some rental reforms. So if you're a landlord or a tenant for that matter, there are some reforms that you should be aware of. Generally, most tenants will find that they are better off under the new reforms. Those reforms cover things like the security of the property in terms of the tenancy, termination of tenancies, non-renewal of tenancies. It also covers tenants keeping pets in properties, making minor alterations to properties, and a lot of other things. But overall, it does assist with people who are renting at the moment. So familiarise yourself with those if that affects you. And if you're looking to buy a home, so looking to, I guess, escape the rental market and get into home ownership, then there's the stamp duty changes as well. So stamp duty is being waived for first home buyers, providing they buy new homes. It was previously capped to properties of a certain value. The cap has been lifted, and so the opportunity has been, I guess, increased for a lot more people, which will be great for those people who were struggling to get into the market. But I fear that it may stimulate demand more than increase supply. I know the stamp duty concession is limited to new homes. However, yeah, those prices I think will shoot up on the new homes, which will have a flow-on effect to surrounding established homes, and may cause further increases in property values. Really, I think to fix a supply issue, you need to be adding to the supply, not adding or fueling the demand. But yeah, great news for people who are still looking to get into the market for the first time. Now, as I touched on earlier, it's important when doing your due diligence to look at, I guess, some of these macro factors, but equally as important to go down into a more granular level, at a micro level or a street level. Talking to the local agents, attending the opens and the auctions, and speaking to your mortgage broker, being familiar with the state and local government plans and announcements, and also being aware of what private development and investment is happening in the area that you're looking to buy into. Those sorts of things are very hard to find on public domain online. Really require getting outdoors and speaking to people. So it's important to include that in your due diligence. And then, of course, when you find properties, there's a whole nother layer of due diligence that you want to do when you're walking through and establishing whether that property might be the right one for you. If you need help with any of that, please feel free to reach out. That's exactly what we do, particularly for investors who are looking to, assess whether a property might be the right one for them. Similarly, if you are looking for a mortgage broker or an accountant, feel free to reach out. We can introduce you to some people that we trust and work quite closely with. If you've wanted to discuss anything else I've covered today in more detail, then feel free to reach out. I'd love to help. But that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm Matthew from Rosie and Rosie, helping you invest in property with confidence.